Good afternoon, Mr. Secretary. You've testified today on the topic of EVs that there is no mandate. You've said that we have not forced anyone to purchase any particular vehicle. You've testified that you want power to be in the hands of consumers. Is that a fair characterization of your testimony?
That we don't have an EV mandate? That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, so I'm of a similar view. I don't think that I'm all for EVs. I have a lot of constituents who buy them. And I think that you're right that there will be an increasing adoption of them going forward. However, I support the right of consumers to make their own choice. So it sounds like we're on the same page there. So do you, like me, then oppose California's effort to take that choice away from consumers by banning gas-powered vehicles?
We respect that states can make their own decisions about state policies, but at a federal level, our approach has to do with economic incentives and support for chargers, not any kind of mandate coming out of the DOT on what technology you're supposed to buy for your vehicle.
Sure, but you've said you support giving choice to consumers. Now you've said you support giving choice to states, but those two are conflicting because the state is taking that right away from consumers. So why is it that you side with giving the state the choice as opposed to giving the consumer the choice?
Because this is federal policy. I make federal policy, and our federal policy is to support consumer choice. But look, sometimes our federal policy is a floor, and states decide to go above and beyond that.
But as you're aware, the federal government has actually given California the authority to issue that ban through a waiver under the Clean Air Act. So do you support the conferral of that waiver?
I think that's on the EPA side of the house, so I want to make sure that I'm conscious of the jurisdictional differences, but I'm not informed enough on EPA's processes to weigh in on their policy choices. What I'll say again is that at the federal level in the Biden-Harris administration, our strategy with regard to EVs is to make sure there's more chargers out there and to make them more affordable.
Sure, but I'm trying to parse out your position, because on the one hand, you say you favor giving consumers choice, and yet on the other hand, you seem to be standing behind an administration policy that is enabling the biggest state in the country to take that choice away. So which is it?
I'm talking about federal policy.
And federal policy is enabling this choice that now California is also bringing 18 other states along with.
Yeah, enabling, not requiring.
So do you support legislation to take that waiver away?
You mean federal legislation to preempt the ability of states to make their own decisions?
No, that's not correct. It's a special authority that's been granted the states to make that decision. So you're supporting granting special authority to ban gas-powered vehicles, correct?
States may seek waivers, and if they qualify under the law, we'll consider them. Again, I don't want to get into the weeds of something that another agency is doing because I'm not privy to all.
You are the Secretary of Transportation, and this is a massive question of transportation policy. So I was just wondering if you had a view, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's many cases where states have led the way by going above and beyond a federal floor.
Sure. Let's turn to high-speed rail for a moment. Your administration has given or your department has given $3.1 billion to this project recently. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the governor of California said this show of support from the Biden-Harris administration is a vote of confidence in today's vision for that project. Do you agree with that statement from Governor Newsom, that you have your confidence in the current vision for California high-speed rail?
We don't approve awards for any project if we're not confident in the integrity of the application and the ability of the project sponsor to meet whatever is required for them through the application process.
But you are aware that the project has been a nightmare in California, correct?
It's kind of a subjective question. What I'm aware of is it's creating a lot of good-paying jobs. It's taken a long time, and it's a big
this
investment.
is actually the term the New York Times used in an article, how California's bullet train went off the rails. It called it a multi-billion-dollar nightmare. The LA Times reported it's $100 billion short in funding right now, and the New York Times also said that it's not on track to be finished this century. That is not on track to be finished this century. Do you disagree?
I would be surprised if it took till the end of this century to deliver quality high-speed rail in California. So I suppose in that respect,
when do you think it will
disagree.
Be finished?
I didn't hear you, sorry.
When do you think it will be finished?
I have seen projections for when the Merced to Bakersfield segment will come online. We're looking into the next decade for sure for the bulk of the revenue service.
Okay, but you earlier stated in response to my colleague from California's questions that the sort of funding is predicated on it ultimately going from LA to San Francisco. So I'm asking, when do you think that will be completed?
I'm not going to get ahead of the High-Speed Rail Authority there on their latest projections for when future stages could be completed.
You've already gotten there. You've given them $3.1 billion. So certainly you have some thought as to when
for the Bakersfield
this might actually be of some benefit to California consumers.
Well, obviously the moment it's in revenue service, it's a benefit to some California consumers.
So do you think it'll be before the century?
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be before the mid-century?
Yeah.
You do? Okay, so when? What's your best estimate for when we'll have operational high-speed rail from...
I'm not going to estimate a year for the San Francisco to LA corridor.
Okay. Do you think that the technology will still be state-of-the-art by the time it's complete?
I think the technology would be a lot better than what Americans are accustomed to today.
Thank you. I yield back.